Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon.
I'm Amir.
Welcome to the Mustcast, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how to use across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and to click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with what media we're consuming. You can start, Amir.
What media am I consuming? That's an excellent question. One, saw Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yeah. Two, I've been watching a new show on Hulu because I got Hulu. I think I told you, but I didn't tell the pod. I might have told you. I got Hulu, no ads because I wanted to watch the X-Files one day. Literally, it just like randomly hit me. I was like, oh yeah, I used to love the X-Files. I want to watch it. Still, by the way, best show ever made for American television. Like, great. If you haven't seen the X-Files, what is wrong with you? Go watch it. So I was watching the X-Files and I was logging in one day to watch the X-Files and said, recommended for you. If you know anything about me, you know that like my biggest obsession outside of like comics and fiction is true crime. Like that's number one, like everything, like true crime, everything for me all the time. And so they had a TV show there, or like a show. It was new. It's starring Selena Gomez, Martin. I forget what his name is. Crap, and like another. I forget what their name is or what their names are. But Selena Gomez is one of the main characters, and it's called Only Murders in the Building, and it's about these three people who live very different lives, who live in an apartment building in New York City, and they all listen to the same exact true crime podcast, and one day someone in their building is murdered,
Both
and
Martin,
they wind up. What'd you say?
both Martin Short and Steve Martin are in the show.
Yeah, yeah. Martin Short and Steve Martin. Thank you, because I couldn't remember their names. It's like crap. I knew that it started with Martin, but apparently they both have Martin in their names. But yeah, and someone in their building is murdered, and they wind up finding each other because they all love the same true crime podcast, and so they decide that they're going to team up and solve this murder and start a podcast or murder podcast of their own. And it's really funny. It's really good. It's really smart. Very artistic. And a second season got announced. There's like 10 episodes of the first season, but I'm only on. They just released episode 4. But there's gonna be 10 episodes for the first season, and they're already writing the second season. I'm so hype. I love that show. It's so good. Um, what other media have I been consuming? Still reading Saga. It's still very interesting. I really like it, but like, wow, that is some of the most wild comic like anything I've ever read. Um, I've been reading the Communist Manifesto. I don't really know if that counts, but like, yeah, my camera's not on. Otherwise, I'd like hold it up to the screen. But yeah. And then what else? I don't know. Just mostly like college stuff. Honestly, like I don't really. Yeah, no. I've been playing Just Cause 4. Uh, and Deshaun, you know I love Just Cause. Um, and I haven't loved a Just Cause game since Just Cause 2. Like Just Cause 3, it was eh. It just didn't have like a flavor I was looking for that Just Cause 2 had. But Just Cause 4 really has it, and I really like Just Cause 4. Um, and I've been playing a lot of Destiny. I forgot about that. I've been playing a lot of Destiny because the new season came out. I got the season pass. I've been trying to get like 10 levels on the season pass per week. But this season pass is going to be the longest season pass so far because it's going to be like 6 months. Like it's going to be extended to like February. So I really don't need to do like 10 per week to get the most out of the season pass, but that's what I've been doing. And that's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right. I watched Witcher Nightmare of the Wolf. It's an animated movie that focuses on a younger Vesemir. Vesemir is the person who taught Geralt. It takes place within the universe of the live action Witcher show. It was really good actually. It was amazing. The studio that animated was the same studio that did Legend of Korra. And the animation was beautiful. The story was great. There was a really good twist. Yeah, it was good. And because of that, I decided to rewatch the first season of The Witcher. The second season is coming out soon. That's sometime this fall. And The Witcher is a great show. Like some people didn't like it because the book that it well the Witcher series first for the games and the show is based off of the book. And the first book that the first season is based off of, The Last Wish, is essentially a series of short stories. Um, and So the show takes that approach a little bit in the sense that the timelines are out of order. There are three timelines happening at once, and they slowly converge as the series goes along. Um, Yennefer's takes place the furthest back, then Geralt's, then pretty much the like modern day storyline is with Ciri. Um, and they slowly converge. Yennefer and Geralt's story converges first, and then at the end, it all converges into one for the present. So that confused some people. I figured it out pretty quickly. There was an episode where there was an older version of a character that Geralt was speaking to, and there was a younger version of that character in the Yennefer storyline. And that's when I was like, oh, these take place in different times. And I feel like it made itself pretty clear, but I can understand why some people might have been confused. But I also, because of that, started reading The Last Wish. I read a preview chapter, which is essentially the first chapter. That happened. That was essentially a story that happened in probably my one of my favorite episodes of the show. But obviously it's a bit different. And it was really good. Bought the book, been reading it like 20 something percent through it, according to Kindle. But yeah,
According to
yeah, it's been good so far. Yeah, because I downloaded it on Kindle. The biggest difference is that because I watched the show and a lot of the story, what I'm reading is stuff that happened in the show. Some of it isn't, and might be being saved for season two, or might never even make it into the show because they might not have enough time. But like, essentially, they it's a book. They have to. I feel like they explain a lot more because they have more room to explain it. Whereas in the show, they kind of get to the point, and in the book, it can be a bit annoying because I understand what's happening because I saw it happen in the show, but they are kind of taking a long time to explain what's going on and having this really long, drawn out conversation. I was like, this could have been explained in such a short way. But it's still really enjoyable so far. I'm excited to read the rest. Watching Titans, of course. We'll talk more
oh
about
yeah,
that.
I forgot I've been watching Titans.
Been watching Stargirl. I think I'm like 2 episodes behind. I'm about to be 3 behind. I need to catch up. What if we'll talk about that. Adventure Time Disneyland. The last episode was released. The episode about Peppermint Butler. Um, the psychopath that he is. It was a really good episode. So
Was he psychotic in this? I just gotta know.
yes.
Okay, good.
So um, I guess this is like the theme of the entire episode, and you'll find out at the very beginning. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but spoiler alert. It's like at some point in Adventure Time, Peppermint Butler he died, and he essentially reincarnated himself in a younger version of himself. And
That's
that's
such a Peppermint Butler.
yeah, that's what the episode's about. It's about younger Peppermint Butler going back to wizard school and trying to become the powerful dark wizard that he used to be. Um, it doesn't really work as a last episode, but according on Twitter, some people said the episodes were actually aired out of order because the last episode was supposed to be, as you would assume, the Jake and Finn episode. The Finn and Jake episode was meant to be the last episode. Um, and as if you watch it, you'll be like, this would have been a great last episode for this 4 episode series, but it wasn't. But if anybody listening to this decides to watch it, I would advise watching the Peppermint Butler episode before the Finn and Jake episode. The Finn and Jake episode last. Yeah, and I've also been playing Dishonored, Death of the Outsider. That's been really fun. Um, I really like the Clockwork Soldiers in Dishonored 2, and they make a return in Death of the Outsider, where
Yes.
you have to break into a bank, and there's like 5 of them in different sections. They suck to fight, but I didn't even know this, and I'm pretty sure it was possible in the second one too. I would assume you could rewire them, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense, but I never knew that. And when I played the second one, I would always just end up fighting them and dying, or like running, or like freezing time and doing what I needed to do, and or like running past them or hiding or something. But I was like, oh, you can rewire these things. And yeah, I didn't even need to actually, I think I rewired one of them because it was at the end of the mission and I needed to escape. It turns out I didn't even need to do that because I realized there was no way for anybody to get up to the area that I was in, and nobody knew I was up there. So it kind of just never came after me. And it's been really fun. I'm close to finishing it. Yeah, I've been playing ever since I did my first escape. I actually escaped the first time. I haven't been playing as much, but I'll hop back in it eventually. All right, going on to current events. First things first, we're going to talk about that horrible Texas law. So, for people who don't know, Texas passed a law that prohibits most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. It makes no exceptions for pregnancies resulting from incest or rape. Um, the law, and I got a lot of this from an article. I have to find it to credit it when I edit. But the law effectively deputizes ordinary citizens, including those from outside Texas, allowing them to sue clinics, and others who violate the law. It awards them at least $10,000 per illegal abortion if they are successful. The law allows doctors, staff, and even patients driver to become potential defendants. So basically, any random person can sue someone or a clinic for performing an abortion, even if said person has literally nothing to do with the person that's getting the abortion. You don't know the person, you just see them going to go get an abortion. You can sue them. Um, and I couldn't stress this enough. First off, number one, men shouldn't be making laws about what women can do with their body. Number one, like what right do we have to tell them, the people who have to carry the baby, what they can and can't do? It's ridiculous. I can't believe it's so ridiculous that something like this passed. Um, I honestly I don't have much to say other than informing people about it and just saying that I disagree with it and that it's wrong, and that things like this shouldn't be allowed to pass. And I think someone mentioned on a podcast that I was listening to that this could be a way for it to make its way to the Supreme Court and make it impossible for something like this to happen again across the board of the entire United States. Hopefully, that's all. Hopeful outcome that can happen like this. But yeah, you have anything to say before we move on?
It's stupid and shouldn't have happened, but that's really about it.
Yeah. So another thing to say before we move on to animation is I had this little spiel I wanted to say about debating on the internet. Because me and you both know people can be assholes on the internet, especially when it comes to debating and arguing. People don't know how to keep arguments civil and just speak, you know, from what they're talking about, and always have to take it and make it personal and insult people personally, and you know, send people death threats and things like that for no reason. When it comes to arguing and debating online, it's okay to have a difference in opinion. You don't have to then tell somebody to kill themselves just because you disagree with them. So what I want to say about that is I don't like that people on the internet are so quick to demonize debating as a whole rather than specific aspects of how it's done. Because people will always disagree. That's never going to change. So if you just go, I hate this, stop it, that's not really solving the problem because it's never going to stop because no one's ever going to completely agree on everything. So people are always going to argue and debate. So you can't stop that from happening. Instead, you should tell people how they should do it in a way that doesn't harm people. And just three things that I think people should keep in mind when debating online. Number one, like I just said, stop attacking people personally. Don't insult people's intelligence for things that have absolutely nothing to do with the debate, like their looks. Don't threaten people. Be kind and as respectful as possible. I do that all the time on the internet. When I'm sitting there arguing with someone, I am respectful. I am nice, no matter how rude they are to me, because I don't want to. I don't want to be that asshole. Secondly, you have to enter debates with a willingness to hear the other person's side. You can't go in immediately with "I'm right," nothing matters. You have to you have to be willing to at least hear the other person and understand where they're coming from. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, but you have to be able to try and understand it. Try. You don't have to understand it. You have to try to understand it. Don't try to force your wills on others. This isn't a high school debate club where the whole idea is for you to force your way. This is a civil debate in real life with the person. Last but not least, actually, the third thing is essentially the same thing as the first thing. So I don't even know why I put it at three. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I want to say about that. Because I don't like that people just constantly online say stop, stop, stop. It's bad. Rather than here's what you should do instead, because this isn't something that's just going to not exist someday. People are always going to disagree. You have anything to say about that?
Not really.
All right. So moving on to animation. Injustice animated movie releasing on October 19th. Um, I don't really care much about it, honestly. I don't know.
I don't like Injustice as a story or
I do.
like very much, so it doesn't really. Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't read many Evil Superman stories, but Injustice Evil Superman, I think is probably my favorite. But it's become too much of a thing. People make Superman people so often that it's annoying now. But of all the Evil Superman, Injustice.
bro, you were fading in and out. I just want you to know
Can you hear
slightly.
me? Slightly. You hear me?
That's a little better. Let me see if I can. Okay, try now.
Okay. You hear me now?
Yeah, that works.
All right. So you told me about this animated film that's happening called Merry Little Batman on Cartoon Network. Um
I forgot about that.
yeah, so the description is when a 6-year-old Damian Wayne finds himself alone in Wayne Manor, he must transform into Little Batman in order to defend his home in Gotham City from the crooks and supervillains intent on destroying Christmas. It's essentially Home Alone with Damian Wayne in Gotham. So that sounds really fun. I'm gonna have to check that out whenever it releases. That sounds dope. Um, so yeah, what if? We're gonna talk about the last two episodes. You've seen them, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about what if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, and what if zombies? Question mark. That was just the name of that episode. So before we actually talk about the episodes themselves, some people online are weird, and the entire point of what if, and this persists with the comics. And granted, it's a little different in the MCU, but the entire point of what if is to have fun and try out, wacky ideas and alternate realities where there is no consequence. The main reality, but everybody's obsessed with how it fits into canon, and it's like, yes, some characters will be brought in during multiverse events and stuff in the MCU. We know that. We know that's gonna happen. But you don't have to try. Some people are confused, essentially. Some people who know nothing about the What If comics or know about it, but are just treating this as something different or trying to fit in everything that's happening into the MCU. And it's like, bro, it's not that deep. These are meant to be fun, standalone stories. You don't have to fit it in anywhere other than where it's at the moment. That's it. I just wanted to say that before we started. So, did you like these episodes? I especially like the Doctor Strange episode.
I thought the Doctor Stranger was interesting. I didn't like the zombies one at all.
I had a fun.
Um, that's really all I have to say. Like there was some interesting stuff in the Doctor Strange one. I can't say whether or not I liked it as an overall episode. Like I feel very like iffy. Like I have mixed feelings about the thing as an episode, but I mean there were some definitely some cool ideas. Like I definitely enjoyed some of the concepts in it.
I love the Doctor Strange episode. It's very emotional. I loved it. Um, and also they definitely that's a case where you could say I could see that character coming in at some point in Multiverse of Madness because he's kind of just trapped in his own little universe, and I have a feeling that with the multiverse, breaking essentially, he might escape, and that could be interesting. Um, I also enjoyed What If Zombies. I feel like with this one, I felt this, especially with this one more than all the other ones, that this felt like the first two acts of a movie, and then they just ended it at the beginning of the third act. Did you feel that too? Like, I felt like there was a third act that would have been dope that just wasn't there because it was restricted to that 23-minute timeline. Like,
I definitely thought that I was definitely like this is probably a part one. There's probably a part two eventually, but
because a lot of people kept mentioning how at the end, of course, spoiler alert, if you're watching this and you don't expect spoilers, here you go. But Thanos had the 5 stones at the end, and a lot of people saying, well, Thor isn't there yet, and the Guardians aren't there. So what if and Captain Marvel isn't there? So what if they go there, they see all the zombies obviously, and they Thor comes, right? But because Peter is the film nerd that he is, he will actually tell Thor aim for the hit. So Thor will actually kill Thanos. They'll get the gauntlet, and they'll use the gauntlet to reverse everything. I could see that being what happens. Obviously, something would probably get in the way to make that plan not as easy as it could have been. But yeah, that's how I could potentially see it happening. But all it did was make me want an actual R-rated what if film, like an actual movie that is better. Did you like the comics?
I didn't like I mean, the comics were they were
I,
better than the episodes, but like I didn't like the
I think
comics either.
the comics are okay. I don't think they're anything spectacular.
Wait, do
So
you mean the What If comics or the Marvel Zombies comics?
Marvel Zombies.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I didn't like them.
Yeah, and they also tied in with the Evil Dead for some really weird reason. So it would be actually, you know, it would be hilarious if what's his name? He directed Evil Dead and he's directing Sam Raimi. I don't know why I forgot Sam Raimi, the guy who directed the three Spider-Man movies. Sam Raimi, who did Evil Dead, and you know, he's doing Doctor Strange. In the Multiverse of Madness. What if he did a live action, um, Marvel Zombies, um, that did that crossover between Evil Dead and you know, the Marvel universe, and actually told a really good, you know, zombie story. I feel like that could be really cool. No opinions on that?
Honestly, not really. I didn't very much like Marvel Zombies as the comic. I definitely didn't like the episode. Uh,
I like the idea, and I think it could be really cool.
I mean, I would go and watch it, I guess, because I'm a comic book fan and I go and watch every comic book movie, but like it wouldn't really interest me that much.
Yeah. So moving on to comics. Something else you also showed me that involves Danny and Wayne, a Bat Family webtoon. When you first showed it to me, I thought it was just something someone decided to do on their own, and then you know started posting on webtoon. But then
Nope, it's canon, it's real, it's
I saw some other people were posting it, and I was like, "What? It's real?" I didn't even notice the DC logo on there. Yeah. So did you check it out?
I didn't yet. I haven't had the chance. Well, I mean, I've had multiple chances, but I've just kind of like been doing everything else recently. So like I haven't had the chance, but like I want to. Like it's I keep meaning to do it. I just haven't, but I plan to. I've seen a couple scenes from it, and like it looks really funny.
Yeah. I'll probably check it out eventually. I haven't seen it yet either. Other comics I've been reading, you know, monthly comic poll, Wonder Girl, Static, Icon and Rocket, Hardware #1, and Harley Quinn, the animated series tie-in comic, Keeping Kill Tour. Yeah, that's what it's called. Starting with Wonder Girl, easily my favorite new DC character. Um, I love Yara Flor. She's really cool. And Joelle Jones, I'm gonna put some art up on the screen. Her artwork is so good. It is so good. I'm gonna say I've said it a thousand times. I'll keep saying it until we get it. We need a Wonder Woman animated series, like a Wonder Woman Amazon's animated series that, you know, focuses on Wonder Woman and then, you know, goes between other Amazonian characters, like, you know, Yara Flor, the Wonder Girls kind of story, and what's his name? As he Sandspark. Yeah, yeah, I really like Wonder Girl. Static, it gets better every issue. First, I think this was issue 4. The first 3 they were cool. They were good. I was enjoying them. The art style especially was great. Nicholas J. Bivey. No, done a great job. He finally revealed his first costume, which is based off his original costume from the comics. I'll put up Nicholas's character sheet on screen. Um, it mixes the original with a bit of firefighter elements. He has this jacket that's like a firefighter coat. It looks really cool. Icon and Rocket is moving a little bit too fast. I really enjoyed the first issue. The second issue, not as much. It's moving too quickly. I feel like extremely too fast. I feel like what's happening currently needed more build up, and they're kind of just rushing it. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Last but not least, Harley Quinn, animated series comic art, fantastic by Max Sarin. It feels just like an episode of the show. Um, Not the biggest fan of Harley Quinn. You said I don't know if you've seen the show. I don't remember if you said that or not. Have you?
I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah. I love the show. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy is my second favorite couple after Black Canary and Green Arrow. Comics really good so far. Excited for the next issue. I think October 16th. Yeah, moving on to the film. Wu-Tang and American Saga. Hulu. It's on Hulu. You should check it out if you like Wu-Tang. It's a biopic about Wu-Tang. This is the second season. First season aired like 2 years ago. But COVID kept them from filming it. They finally filmed it, and it's out. I haven't checked it out yet. There are 3 episodes out right now. I think it's gonna be up. Um, they're doing it weekly though. It's gonna be every Wednesday, I believe. I need to check it out. I'm actually gonna watch that right after this because I completely forgot. It's been really good so far. It's dope seeing the come up with Wu-Tang. My favorite, definitely my favorite. And when this is like my top 5 artists, like rap artists of all time. I always pick the whole group, but if I had to choose one person, I would go Method Man because Method Man is my favorite in the group. You like Wu-Tang?
You're seriously, you went to high school with me. You're seriously asking me if I like Wu Tang?
Because you've said it before. I'm just making sure because I know we've had conversations about liking Wu-Tang and Kung Fu and hip hop. Like,
Bro, I am literally a Wu Tang super fan. I'm kind of offended you would even ask that, but it's okay. It's okay.
you're right. I shouldn't have asked because I literally knew the answer because you've literally told me on this show. We've had conversations about it. I shouldn't even ask.
Exactly.
But who's your favorite member?
Ghostface Killer easily.
Yeah, Ghostface. He's good. He's good. A lot of people say that Raekwon is the best. I haven't listened to his solo album. People say that his solo album's great. I haven't listened to it. I should probably check it out. But I think the only person whose solo album. I listened to a little bit of just his solo album. I forget what it was called. It had a really dope name. I can't remember what it was called. And I listened to Method Man's first solo album. I wasn't really feeling Method Man's solo album actually.
Really?
Yeah, the only song I liked on there was Takal. Maybe I need to listen to it again. I feel like he's the
You
type
should
of guy
probably listen to it again.
like no matter what it is, whenever he makes a song with Redman, it is the best. Him and Redman are a great duo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that show's great. You should check it out. Halloween Kills is premiering in theaters and on Peacock on October 15th. I love Halloween. I love slashers in general. Those are my favorite type of horror movies. So I'm gonna be using my free subscription to Peacock to check out Halloween Kills. Um, there were some images for Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. Going around on the internet. And everybody looks spot on except Jill. She doesn't have her beret or like the shoulder pads, and it's kind of weird because I feel like we've had discussions like this before. Whenever you do an adaptation, like the first thing you got to do is make the characters recognizable, right? Like you got to let us know this is the character. But like at first glance, other than knowing that she's playing Jill and obviously she's standing next to Chris and Wesker, you wouldn't know that's Jill.
Right.
But I'm cautiously optimistic for this film. I hope it's really good. The story is actually going to be about both the Spencer Mansion from the first movie and the police station from the second movie with Leon and Claire. So that'll be cool. I wonder I wonder how long the movie will be if it's going to be focusing on both of those things. Because based on that fact, does that mean that also the stuff with Nemesis and Jill from the third game is also going to be in this movie? Because that takes place before what happens in Resident Evil 2 and after what happens in Resident Evil 2 at the same time. But in this movie, it's all happening at once. They're at the mansion. Well, actually, they haven't confirmed that. If it's going to be like they're showing stuff that happened in the past with the mansion and what's happening in modern day with the police station. Because in the games, the Spencer Mansion stuff takes place months before the stuff actually within Raccoon City before that outbreak happened. So I wonder how they're going to do that one. If it's going to be 2 different timelines or they're going to be happening at once. And if that's the case, where's Nemesis?
Okay.
So yeah, what else do I have? Matrix Resurrections. They released trailer.
Yes.
So I haven't seen the first Matrix in a long time. I think I've only seen it once or maybe twice, and I don't remember. I barely remember anything about the movie other than, of course, all of the famous scenes that everybody knows. A couple of the fight scenes, the whole lean back thing. I remember some famous stuff, but I definitely am gonna rewatch it really soon. I might
I was
rewatch
gonna
it.
say it's crazy that you just said that because that is a masterpiece of American cinema.
I might rewatch it tonight. Honestly.
You should. There's so much good stuff in it.
Yeah. Probably not. Yeah, trailer. A lot of people are loving it because obviously they love the first movie. Obviously, I understood little things like the blue pill, which keeps you in the matrix. That's and stuff like that. He looks just like John Wick because he was filming John Wick at the same time. Um, but yeah, I'm excited. I won't say excited. Like I said, I haven't seen the other movies in a long time to really be excited for it. Last but not least, and this is going to be this is going to take us Shang Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings. Spoiler alert, we're definitely going to spoil stuff. We were going to do a review I posted earlier this week, but I just didn't feel like it. I was a little busy too with work and stuff. So yeah, there we go. Um, in my opinion, not even my opinion, I'm just gonna say this is objective. Easily the best hand-to-hand combat in all of MCU.
Absolutely.
There's no opinion in that. Easily, that's objective. So you wanna start? I've been talking a lot.
I feel like I
It,
should start, right? It's
yeah,
third favorite comic book character of all time. Been a Shang Chi super fan for many years.
yeah,
Probably should.
yeah.
Okay. First things first, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi is amazing. I love Simu Liu. I've talked to you about this before. I love Simu Liu. He's a great person, like in real life. And I started like looking at the stuff that he's in after I found out about the casting because the movie itself got announced like 3 years ago. And then the casting got announced, and at first, I wasn't a big fan of the casting. But I started following his stuff. I started watching Kim's Convenience on Netflix, which is where like he's really famous from. And Kim's Convenience wound up becoming one of my favorite shows, like of all time. I love that show. Really mad because it got canceled after season 5, and there was supposed to be a sixth season, but it got canceled. I'm so mad about that because it ended. You can tell like the plot lines from like the fifth season were gonna be like resolved in the sixth season, but that now that's not gonna happen. So now it's like all really sad, but whatever. Um. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Simu Liu, great person, great actor. He plays Shang very very well, or Shang plays very very well. Uh. Wen Wu, the Mandarin, that he was a great villain. Like really really good villain. Um.
Realize until after watching the movie, I was like, oh, he was a hero, which
Yeah.
makes
Oh my god, he was great. The movie really was not that comic accurate, like at all, and I know I usually complain about that, but they did a decent job of translating like Sean's origin story of like, oh, he finds out his father's actually a really evil person and he runs away,
yeah,
and then only to be forced to come back and fight him eventually. Like they did that okay. They really added a lot of new elements that like are not present in Shang-Chi comics or mythos, but like at the same time, like the whole Shang-Chi mythos, like everything around him is constantly evolving and being updated. So honestly, I can't be too mad about that. And also the way the movie ends
whoa, whoa, whoa.
with the post-credit scenes and stuff, there is a lot of room for like the second movie to be very comic accurate. And I already have the exact plot. I already know exactly what I want the second movie to be. Like I know the characters, I know the villains, I know the plot. Like I know exactly what I want the second movie to be.
Yeah. Um, to me, this movie feels like a breath of fresh air for the MCU that it sorely needed because I enjoyed the TV shows, some more than others. I didn't like Loki, but um, this feels like the beginning of Phase Four more so than any of the shows or Black Widow. This feels like the actual beginning of Phase Four of Marvel. Um, which I'm trying to think when was it originally supposed to come out? Wasn't it supposed to come out like the summer?
I think so.
Yeah, because I was thinking, was this supposed to come out before the shows came out? Because if it was, then it would actually felt like the beginning of Phase Four if that was the case. But I think it was actually supposed to come out in the summer. But yeah, it breaks away from the usual formula that you see in MCU movies, and that that was great. Like you said, not just Simu Liu, but everybody killed it. I know Aquafina has been under some heat recently because of some comments she made. I don't even remember what they were. Um, it had something to do about representation in film, and you know, people were um, but she was really good in this movie, honestly. I haven't seen much with her in it. Um, this might I think the only other thing I've seen with her in it is what is it? What was that movie? That animated Disney movie? I can't remember what it was called. Um, the one with the dragon. I can't remember. The Last Dragon. Something The Last Dragon. It's a name. Like,
Raya and the Last Dragon.
yeah, she played Raya, the dragon. um,
Raya wasn't the dragon.
Raya was the dragon, wasn't it?
Raya wasn't the dragon. Raya was the
It's called
girl.
Raya and the Last Dragon. You're right.
Yes.
It's not called Raya. The Last
It's
Dragon.
like, bro, what?
It was Raya and the Last Dragon. The Last Dragon's name started with the S. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, so I want to talk about the action specifically because the action was great. So supervising stunt coordinator was Brad Allen, who passed away due to unspecified illness August 7th at the age of 48. He was responsible for essentially pulling a lot of the talented stunt team onto the project. He was the person who received the dedication at the very end of the credits. He was the first non-Asian person to be a part of Jackie Chan's stunt team too, as well. The action designer and stunt coordinator was Christopher Clark Cohen, most famously known for the Kingsman films, and you can see that. You can see in the way that action was filmed, especially in the bus fight. You've seen the Kingsman, right?
Of course.
Yeah, the way the fights are filmed in the Kingsman, and then you look at the way it was filmed in that bus fight, you can definitely see his influence. He's definitely good at his job. He was on an episode of Corridor Digital Stuntman React. He was on the 7th episode, so if you want to see him really break down the work that he did in uh, the Kingsman, check out that video, Corridor Digital Stuntman React for 7. Um, he also worked a bit on the Witcher and a YouTube short series starring Cleo Thomas, aka Zero from the Disney movie Holes, and Guia de Silva, the stunt double for Black Panther in Civil War, called UALA, which was like a supposed to be like it was a live action kind of parody of My Hero Academia with the LA branch of the UA high school. So some people are saying that maybe Tao Lo, I think that's what it was called, maybe one of the 7 heavenly cities alongside Kunlun.
That's actually what I thought. I really thought that that wasn't just a heavenly city, but I thought that was actually the dimension that Kunlun might be in. And I thought that what would break out of the giant dragon thing that would break out of that would actually be Shao Lao the Undying. I really thought that in a post credit scene, Iron Fist was going to be like, I was really thinking, I'm like, oh, okay. Because Kunlun is the heavenly city, but Kunlun's not the only thing in that dimension. Like, there's still like stuff surrounding the city. And I thought that that was like a municipality or whatever, like a small town outside of the city.
So there are 7 heavenly cities, and within that dimension, all of them could be housed. It could be like its own mini planet, really, in a different dimension.
Kinda. They don't all exist within the same dimension. Like each heavenly city is in
No, I'm not
different.
saying that they do. I'm saying that they could within MCU.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I definitely thought that that was like part of Kunlun, and I was. I'm not gonna lie, not even slightly. I think I was like, the more I think about it, the more disappointed I am that that wasn't Shala. Like it didn't need to be Shala, but like that random dragon thing, or the random like flying creature thing, that's not a thing in Shang-Chi comics. So like they really could have replaced it with something like Shala. And I think I think I would have liked that more. Like I'm not gonna like complain about the movie because I didn't really like the movie, but like
I'll gladly
they could have replaced that.
I'll gladly complain about some things. But before we get to the complaints, speaking about Iron Fist, if they ever bring Iron Fist into the MCU, if I'm being real, I don't he no white, no white, no white Iron Fist. I want him to either be mixed or just straight up Asian, like because I think much like in the comics, if they were to bring in Iron Fist and make him white, and Iron Fist is of course, Shang Chi's popularity is about to skyrocket because of this film, but Iron Fist is far more popular overall, and if they bring him into the MCU, he might overshadow Shang Chi, and I think it would be messed up for them to bring in this white dude that comes and overshadows this actual Asian kung fu character, right? So if they bring in Iron Fist, make this man Asian or part Asian, like don't make this man white. That's how I feel. I feel like he's a character that if you make him Asian, there are gonna be some idiots who are gonna be upset. But in reality, I'm like, make the man like some Asian American dude. Like actually make him Asian. I don't think he should be white if they bring him into the MCU. Which I'm not sure if they will, because I think they're gonna wanna I think they are aware that he would take focus away from Shang-Chi because Iron Fist is a more popular character. So not that people would stop seeing Shang-Chi movies, obviously, just because there's a Black Panther movie doesn't mean people aren't going to still go see Spider-Man. Like that's not what's going to happen. But I just feel like he would take too much focus away from that character. So make him me. What do you think about that?
Personally, I don't really care one way or another. Unlike a lot of characters, Danny's race as a white person is actually like prevalent to his character and like to his origin and stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't think I would really care.
The hell it is.
No, like literally, if you read Matt Fraction's Iron Fist series in 2006, or if you go back and read the, actually, I have it right here. What is it? Like go back and read like the Book of Changes and stuff like that. Like that's part of it is definitely part of his origin. Like if I told you, it'd be kind of spoilery, but
Tell me.
okay. So basically, part of the reason he was so hated and part of the reason he went for the Iron Fist mantle was because he was this white kid who just happened to like fall into
No, I knew you were going to
the
say
gun
that.
and
And here's how that can change immediately and how that doesn't matter. Make him Asian American because people from, like, for example, not even for example, Asian people when it comes to Asian American people, and just like Black people when it comes to African people, people born native and African, and people born natively in some Asian countries, they not hate, but like kind of judge people who aren't straight up from their country, even though they have a lineage coming from that country. So they could easily do the same thing, but people going like, you aren't really whatever race they make him, Chinese or whatever. Let's just say Chinese for example. You aren't really Chinese. You're an American. You're from America. You're an American guy. Make it easy.
that wasn't what I was going for. I was gonna add more onto that, but
My bad. I did cut you off, but that's what it sounded like.
I mean that was part of it, but that wasn't the whole thing. There was a lot of stuff. Oh my god, it's been forever since I read Matt Fraction series. I need to go back and read it because that was masterful. There's a lot of stuff going back to like World War II, especially with Orson Randall. A lot of stuff going back to like what was it like prehistoric. There's a whole lot of stuff with the Book of the Iron Fist. I haven't read it in forever, but you gotta read it. It's really really good.
I guarantee you, him being white could easily be something that doesn't like him being white isn't going to be important at all.
Depending on the story, it could be. It could be. I mean, you can definitely change it, but again, that's why I said it doesn't matter to me one way or the other.
It should be changed if he's brought. Like I'm not saying in the comments they need to change it, but if they bring him to the MCU, it should be changed because he doesn't need to be white. And also, like I said, if they make him mixed, then they could still keep in some of those elements of whatever. Actually, that would work even better if he was mixed, because then you could have that same element of him having a lineage that ties back to previous Iron Fists that are white and that have been white, and also in the aspect that you were speaking about where they were kind of like, you can't do this because of your heritage. You know what I mean?
I definitely get that. I definitely get that.
Yeah, I just feel like bringing in this white savior, because that's exactly what he is, to come in and be this martial arts champion, um, and take away that spotlight from this Asian character who has more of a right to that portion of the MCU. I feel like would be wrong. And that's after everything, which I don't think they will because of that same reason.
I definitely think they're bringing him in.
No, I agree. I would love for them to.
I'm really interested to see the future of the martial arts side of the MCU. Like, I'm very interested in that. Which brings me to my next point, because I definitely want your opinion on this, is my ideas for a Shang-Chi sequel.
Okay, before you get to that, let's talk a little bit more
Okay.
about myself. Um, so again, martial arts was fantastic. There was a character who was a death dealer who felt like they could have been so much of a bigger deal, especially because the scene where right before he fought Shang Chi, when he climbed down the scaffolding all creepy, like a bug, like a monkey, and was like upside down, looking him in his face, and then snatched the necklace. That part was really cool and made that whole character look interesting. Of course, Death Dealer then lost the fight with Shang Chi, but I felt like then at the very end, Death Dealer was just picked up and had his soul sucked out, and I was just like, what? I thought what I thought was gonna happen was that Death Dealer was gonna fight Shang Chi's sister. What's her name?
Xylee.
Yeah, Xiling. I thought he was gonna fight her, and that would have been dope. But no, he just got murdered by a death sucker, or I mean soul sucker. And yeah, I feel like that character's potential was kind of just squandered. I feel like that character could have had a dope little final battle with her. Um, but yeah, she was also fantastic. Um, he was great. Also, ooh, what's his name? The dude who played the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. I had his name. It's a very
Trevor
It is Trevor. It's Trevor something.
Trevor Slattery.
Trevor Slattery. Trevor Slattery was so good. I knew he was gonna be in it, and like as soon as I heard that noise in the background when they were in the dungeon, I was like, "That's Trevor. I know it is." He was so funny throughout the entirety of the movie. Everything, every time he talked, it was hilarious. He didn't miss for me at least. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, no, he was great. I loved him.
I thought he was hilarious. I hope he's in a second one. I hope he stayed there at the temple with the sister. I hope that's exactly what happened. But yeah, you can go ahead. I have no, just go ahead. I'm not even gonna speculate. Go ahead.
Okay. So here we go. Right here we go. Right now for the second movie. Okay, let me just say I'm very glad that they didn't make Shang and Katie like a couple. Like, there's
Yeah,
not enough
like
representation. What'd you say?
I was just agreeing.
Oh yeah, no, there's not enough representation of just like platonic male and female or like friendships. Like, not every male and female that are together need to be together. You know what I mean? Like, that's so I'm very glad that that didn't happen. Um, One, because of course representation, but two, okay. Now, Shang has a very storied history with a particular character. Now, if you're a Shang-Chi fan, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's Lee Wu, who is an Asian British. I don't quite know like the exact term that I'm using here, but she's like British born or UK born. I believe I'm pretty sure she's also Chinese. I'm pretty sure that was stated, but I could be wrong about that. Basically, she is Shang-Chi's main love interest in the comics, and she's a super spy. Uh, and she's really cool, but she's also a really horrible person and really unhealthy for him and really bad, like a really bad person. But we'll get to that. So now, for my idea of the second movie, right? Shang does not have the rings. Like, I really do not want him to like keep the rings. Like, I don't want him using the rings. Like, no, like leave them over with Wong.
The rings are cool. I want him to keep them.
I don't, because that kind of defeats the purpose of Shang. But like, leave the rings over with Wong. Like, that's not. Yeah, no, leave the rings over with him. So it's just him, no powers, no nothing, just him kicking ass, taking names. So he goes and he's approached by Lee Wu and Blackjack Tar, who is another MI6 agent from the comics. And they approach him and start talking to him about this series of like or like this series of robberies or whatever, like yada yada yada, committed by this dude named the Cat. And the Cat, okay, now bear with me here. Now I know you're gonna like this. The Cat is played by Andrew Koji. Okay. So did you say oh? I swear to God, like I heard like a disappointed oh come from you. And I swear to God, I heard a disappointed oh come from somewhere. Maybe there's someone living in my walls. I don't know.
I heard
But
you say that and I was like, oh god.
the cat is played by Andrew Koji. And like Leah Wu slides a tablet across the table or whatever. And she's like, oh, he's already defeated Spider-Man, like yada yada yada. And there's like a little scene, there's a callback from the comics to when the cat beats Spider-Man, and it's like the cat is fighting Spider-Man. And like, oh, yada yada yada, we need your help to catch him. So it turns into this giant like race around the world, like anti-heist movie kind of, with a lot of spy elements and of course like major martial arts elements. And at the end of the movie, the final fight scene of the movie is ripped straight out of the comics, literally Shang's most iconic fight from comic books, of him versus the cat in the water. He has his nunchucks, the cat has the staff, and he loses the nunchucks, and Andrew Koji loses the staff, and like they're fighting each other like hand-to-hand combat, like best. It's got to be the best, like most well choreographed fight scene in the MCU, including beating up the first movie. Like, it's got to be top tier, like the best. And of course, Shang wins, but he's very like tired, or he's like beat like half to death throughout the fight, just like he was in the comics. Like, he's like really like oh my god. yada yada yada. The cat is knocked out, and they're fighting basically over like this gem. Now this wasn't in the comics, but like we gotta have like a kind of like heist movie type thing because the cat is a thief, right? So there's a gem that the cat is going after this whole time. Throughout the entire movie, and they're trying to stop him from getting. So Shang-Chi picks up the gem, but then oh no, Razor Fist, who now has both fists as swords, right, hops down and starts attacking Shang. And of course, because he's too beat, he can't beat Razor Fist this time. He's just like too damaged. So Razor Fist like beats him, takes the diamond, hops back up in a helicopter with the 10 ring symbol. It flies off. Now Shang is like, okay, now I have to go take down the 10 rings, blah 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 blah. Uh, Post credit scene, right, is Shang teaching Peter the way of the spider, who like maybe throughout Multiverse of Madness or No Way Home or whatever, Peter loses his spider sense, and so now he has to learn the way of the spider from Shang. And Simu Lee was already talked about wanting to do a story about Spider-Man learning the way of the spider from Shang, and so like I think that Marvel should hire me. It's like a conceptualized like I want to see that. That's what I want to see for the sequel, like really really bad.
That tournament you talked about might actually happen in the next movie.
That was rumored for the first movie, and it like partially happened, but not really.
Yeah, I think that what's her name is actually going to start do that the actual tournament. She's going to be like the host of that tournament.
That would be cool. But yeah, no, that's what I want to be the sequel of the movie.
I think they're gonna.
Include the cat as the main villain.
I think they're gonna have him keep the rings. The rings are cool. The rings. We didn't talk enough about the rings. The rings were so cool in this movie. The rings were
I
actually.
really hope they don't give him
They
the
were
rings.
really
Like,
cool. But the last thing I want to talk about is um the director Destin Daniel Cretton, I think, or Cretton. Um, he said he took a lot of inspiration from Dragon Ball, and the third act of that movie was just straight up Dragon Ball Z. Like
yeah, I didn't necessarily like that per se,
I
but
know that movie felt a lot like Dragon Ball Z, and I actually agree with you because earlier when you were talking about how you didn't have much bad to say about it, and I said that I do. Mine was that the third act went way left field.
yeah,
It went way left field away from the whole martial arts thing, and it was way too much CGI action in this
yeah,
martial art. It was weird. I thought it was going to be way more intimate and hand to hand fight. I didn't think I knew it was going to be a dragon, but I didn't think the dragon was going to lead into a battle with another dragon.
yeah,
Like it was cool, but it just didn't feel right for this movie specifically. Also, again, green screens and blue screens in Marvel don't always look the best. Like you said, there are some great examples when it does look great, but lately I feel like they haven't been really hitting it with the blue screens. Luckily, starting with Thunder, and hopefully this persists throughout, more Marvel movies, they're going to start using the volume, and they're actually. I'm not sure if they're building a bigger volume for Thor: Love and Thunder, which I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But I know they're making a bigger volume because the volume, is I think it's like 50 feet tall. I forget the radius, but like they're gonna make an even bigger one for movies. And maybe this is being made specifically for Thor: Love and Thunder, which would be dope. And hopefully they use that for more of the films. Which for people who don't know, the volume is essentially LCD screens in a circle, and one being on the ceiling where they project backgrounds onto rather than using green screen. And they use that for the Mandalorian. They're going to use that for Thunder. And I'm excited to see what they do with that because when they use green screen, it's kind of too noticeable. It was in this movie. It was. I mean, I can notice it. It was a little distracting at times. But yeah,
I just want
but
more. Oh, god.
I was just gonna say, me and you talk about how we think a Dragon Ball movie could work if they, focus on that martial arts aspect. And I feel like the end of that movie showed. I feel like this whole movie showed how both the Dragon Ball and a Dragon Ball Z movie could work. Because I wasn't sure if a Dragon Ball Z movie could work, but I feel like it could now after seeing this. And I would love for Dustin Daniel Cretton to be that director for those films. Because or the dude who did Kung Fu Hustle. You've seen it, right?
Kung Fu Hustle was great. I was actually just talking about that in a group chat with some friends.
Yeah, either one of those two. Doing a Dragon Ball Z movie or Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z movie. It was Stephen Chow. He was the person who directed that. Either of them or both of them doing several movies within the franchise of that would be great because Dragon Ball can work in live action. They would just have to focus on that martial arts, which it initially was about. It was like the birth of the tournament trope in anime was Dragon Ball in the 80s. So yeah, that's all I have left to say about that. You have anything else?
I just one don't want Sean to keep the rings, and two, I really want to see more martial arts action. You know, like martial arts action was amazing when they actually started to do it, and then they fell off of it. But they need to do it, and it was amazing when they did.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think he is putting hands on everybody in MCU in terms of people who aren't gods?
Uh, well, that's the thing, right?
Do you think he's like he's that's the character he's like he is in the comics? He's like the best martial artist in like
Yeah, no, in the comics, he's like
like in MCU. Do you think based on what we've seen so far, I think he could take down Cap. I think he could take down Winter Soldier, but I'm not sure if he really would take down Black Panther or what else was the thing? Uh, Taskmaster.
that's actually what I was thinking about. Was I don't know if honestly, I think out of everybody, I think you'd have the most trouble with Cap.
I
I
think he
really do.
trouble with Taskmaster. Taskmaster is ridiculous. Even in the movie, they at the very least, even though they didn't get the personality down, they got the fact that this person is overwhelmingly just that copy ability just makes it almost impossible to fight.
I think I'm really trying to think about this. I think he'd have the most trouble with Cap because Cap is the most well trained, like out of like combatively.
I think
Uh,
here's the thing about Cap. It's weird that he fights that good because we never actually see him training. Like
it's
in the
like that in the comics too. He's one of the maybe like top five best fighters in Marvel comics, but we never see him train in literally any art.
when
Like
you
we've never seen him be trained.
when you watch the first movie, there was no time for him to get the training. he
Yeah,
he just like it's not impossible to be a naturally good fighter, but it's just kind of weird how naturally good he is.
he's
Um,
supposed to. If I'm basing this off the comics or even like the tie-in comics, because in the tie-in comics it stated a lot like about his training and stuff like that. Even though I don't really count the tie-in comics as canon because like they're not very good typically, but like if I were to count them as canon, he would still be the best trained, except for obviously Sean out of all of them. But
Black Panther has been really well trained as well.
he has been, but it's still like we've seen Captain America and Black Panther in the MCU at about skill level. I'd probably say they're about equals.
No, I would say he's better than Cap because him and Winter Soldier were at a stalemate. If any, no, they were at a stalemate. But I was about to say because at the end of the Winter Soldier, the only reason he got beat up is because he was holding back. But when they were fighting each other in the middle of the street, when they were actually going all at it because he didn't know who he was at the time, they were dead even. But I feel like
Cap definitely beat him at the end of the fight. Like he was definitely going to win at the end of the fight.
oh yeah, at the end of the fight, he definitely was gonna win. But like based off of that, I feel like he's better than both of them.
I wouldn't. I no. I would say Black Panther's about Cap's equal because he was beating Bucky. He was definitely overwhelming Bucky until their second fight when they didn't have any armor or weapons or anything when Bucky was being mind controlled. And at that point, you can argue that he was holding back because he knew like Bucky's not, he's neutralized right now, or at least he's close to being neutralized. He's like the closest to like justice that actual justice that T'Challa would get. I know I think T'Challa and Cap are dead even. I really do. I think MCU T'Challa and Cap are dead even. And if that's the case, think I don't know. I'm thinking about all the MCU fighters. I'm trying to think about who would be the person to put Shang down. Shang doesn't have that many feats on screen. Is the problem? Because I mean, like he has like a 2 hour movie, sure, but like everybody else has had multiple movies and sometimes TV shows.
We'll have to see more. But I think, yeah, I I think Black Panther, and I think Shang Chi's just below that. But yeah, with the rings,
I could see him beating everyone. I could see him beating everyone like with time, like with more.
with the rings, he's definitely he's got it. But like,
Well, I mean, with the rings, that's part of my problem. With the rings, he becomes like superhuman, and
He's been has on everybody. Like nobody stopped him. But like, and also I feel like something that they didn't really touch on. The rings can like expand and like get smaller so that they can like fit onto the wrist. What if you can make them even bigger or even smaller? So you could like restrain people, like put them on someone's wrist and then like magnets, they kind of like click together. You know what I mean? So you could like use it to restrain people, or you could also make them really big and like throw it at somebody. You know what I mean? That could be cool.
that would be pretty cool.
I like them with the rings. I understand why you don't. I do like them with the rings.
I don't. That just kind of defeats the purpose of Shang Chi to me. I don't really like him with the rings. I think he's okay with the clones in the comics, but even then, he doesn't really use them. And it's like a mad debate as to whether or not he even still has them because he hasn't used them in
Like,
literal years.
no doubt in my mind, are they going to find some excuse for him to not have the rings at some point? They're definitely going to do that. He's either going to get them taken or they stop working or they don't work on this particular enemy or something. That's going to happen.
I just hope I just like, really want him to give them to Wong, and like that's it.
Just Wong has the rings.
Wong has the wings. Wong has the rings forever. Like that's pretty much what I want.
Wong has the wings.
Wong has the wings. Wong has the rings forever. That's about where I want that to. Yeah.
Yeah, going to video games, before we get to showcase, talk about two things. So, first thing I want to ask if you ever played The Order.
No, I don't think so. I might have. It sounds familiar, but I genuinely have no idea what you're talking about. So
Like
like,
late 1800s. It literally takes place in 1886. I don't know why I'm saying late 1800s. It's about like these group of soldiers that are named after the Knights of the Round Table, and they're going to have like vampires and werewolves. It was one of the first games released on PlayStation 4. I don't know if that's a good way to start.
no.
Pick it up real quick. You might recognize it
Look it up real quick. Look it up real quick. Okay.
because it's a really interesting game that I feel like doesn't get enough attention. And
The Order 1886. It's in the title. Why'd you say late 1800?
I know that's what I said. I was like, why did I say that? It literally says it in the title.
3.9 out of 5 on GameStop, 63 on Metacritic, 6.5 on IGN. Third person action adventure video game. Hmm.
So it's a really interesting game because it being like a all of those scores make sense. I enjoy the game, but I would give it like a 7 personally. Um the reason is it's really short and it's more like a movie that you play sometimes than it is.
Oh, I hate video games like that because at that point, just make a movie about it. I hate that.
And I'm not that's I agree, that's what I'm getting into. Even though I think it could work as a game as they actually expand on the gameplay. But it feels more like one, at the very least, if you're interested, check out some videos on it, or like it's already kind of like a movie. You can literally watch, one of those YouTube videos where they, condense it all down, and so kind of like a movie. Watch one,
Mhm.
watch one of those. It's probably like, I feel like in its entirety, it would probably be around like 5 hours long. Like just watch some of it, if you really like it, obviously you'll finish it. But like, it's a fun game, and it also the story and the world that they build is so interesting. Essentially, there's this group of soldiers, like I said, named after the Knights of Round. The main character you play as is Galahad, and they're tasked with essentially behind the scenes, kind of like Kingsman, except that they face supernatural enemies. They fight these I like me some werewolves. they
Yeah.
fight they fight werewolves and vampires, and the weapons are dope. There's this one gun where it shoots out some type of gas, and then you press the trigger again, and it sets it on fire, and it incinerates anything within its path. That's really cool. It has some dope weapons, some interesting boss battles that where you fight a werewolf and you only have a knife. Your gun gets knocked out. And you have to fight it with a knife. And there's several. Problem is every single time you fight a werewolf is the exact same, and the gameplay is super linear. Like I just said, it plays more like a movie. There is no choice. It's not like a immersive sim where, like in Dishonored, you have a whole bunch of choices on how to tackle a situation. You only have one choice on how to tackle a situation, and it kind of sucks. That That part sucks. And I understand why people give it around 6.5 or whatever, and why I would give it a 70 is because of that. But it has so much potential as a movie or as a video game. Um, check it out. Get back to me. Tell me how you like it. It was developed by Ready at Dawn, who had previously before that only worked on portable games on the PSP. They worked on the two God of War games that were on PSP. Last but not least, before we get to the PlayStation showcase, um, PlayStation initially was going to charge, I think, an extra 10-20 bucks for the PS5 upgrade for Horizon Zero Dawn, and people were pissed, rightfully so. And immediately, Jim Ryan, Sony's CEO, president and CEO, immediately reversed the decision because of the backlash. And it is ridiculous for them to want to um, charge so much for upgrades. Like the Ghost of Tsushima DLC, I paid for it because it was DLC, but the actual for it to cost $10 more on PS5 for the upgrade, um, I didn't agree with that at all. But I don't have a PS5, so I didn't have to deal with that. Um, but yeah, we like. I love their lineup of exclusives, but their business practices suck. Me and you have talked about it before. They're they're super greedy, and they're always trying to find a way to squeeze more money out of us because they know they can, because they know they have the best games in the business, and they know that nobody competes with them in that sense, except for Nintendo. Um, Xbox barely competes with them at all in the sense of, so they know they can squeeze that money out of you, even though they shouldn't because it's messed up. And we need to keep doing these things and keep pushing them and pressuring them so that they don't do things like this. Anything to say before we move on to showcase?
Uh, not particularly. I don't have a five, so every time I see someone getting upset about that, I'm like, I'm not gonna have a five for another like at the very least like 6 months. Like it doesn't really affect me. I mean, like I feel for people. Don't get me wrong, and like
I'll say
that may be me in a couple months, but as of right now, it doesn't affect me. I don't care.
I'll say at the very least a year.
No,
um,
I found quite a few of them. I've been finding a lot of them recently. They're just really expensive.
I mean for me personally,
Oh, I thought you meant. Oh, never mind, never mind.
at least a year.
I'll send you some. Like when I get my hands on one, like I find other ones, I'll send you some if you want. But like,
Well, yeah, I was about to say, if you find some, right, that's possible. I would be like, bro, buy two, and I'll cash out you 500 right now. But I'm not gonna get a PS5 until after I get a Nintendo Switch. I could wait a little longer for PS5.
you still don't have a Switch, man? You gotta get your hands on a Switch, bro.
The Switch OLED that comes out October 8th, and then
Oh, you're getting the OLED? Okay.
I'm gonna cop that, and then I'm gonna get Breath of the Wild and Metroid Dread. What else was I about to say? Oh, so, and I've said it before, and I can't help but say it again. If somebody came up to now, this depends on what type of games they like, but if they came up to me and asked me, what console should I get? Honestly, a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S, I would say get an Xbox Series S. It doesn't have a disc slide, so you're gonna have to deal with that. So hopefully you have a stable internet. But if you have a stable or a decent internet, you can pay $9.99 a month, and you get access to hundreds of games. It's dope. Game Pass is great. That's what I would say. Honestly, my that would be my suggestion for anybody who came up to me and asked me what console should I get. Again, I would ask them what type of games do you like, and depending on that, my answer might change. But if they don't really have a super strong preference in like open world action adventure games, like what PlayStation is really good at, then I was like, man, cop an Xbox. Like, Game Pass is great. But moving on. PlayStation for life. PlayStation Nation. Uh,
Yeah, no, it's always gonna be PlayStation for life, man. Like there's
I've been trying to make a logo for like the PlayStation Nation for a while, but I need to finish up. But yeah. So the showcase. Speaking of PlayStation, showcase started off with Knights of the Old Republic remake. Um, I knew it was coming. The moment I saw the lightsaber, I was like, "Oh, Knights of the Old Republic." When I first saw the Lucasfilm thing, I was like, "Oh, a PlayStation Star Wars game? That's interesting." And then I saw the lightsaber and heard her talking. I was like, "I think I this." And then they showed his face, and I was like, "Ah, I know exactly." This. And yeah, remake being made by Esper, who's worked on other ports of other Star Wars games, like what was it? Commandos. I think they did a port of Republic Commandos onto modern consoles. But yeah, I'm interested. We talked about it a little bit before the podcast started, but I haven't played the first one. I don't really plan on playing the first one. I don't really like the gameplay style of the first one, so I hope they change that up in the new one. You played the first one. You liked it. You liked it a lot.
I did. I don't like the gameplay style, but I like the story. I like one of the things in particular that I remember about it that I'm never gonna forget is there's this section on Korriban, and I really, really, really hope they take this out. Um, like now that I completed it, it's a fond memory, but it was 3 weeks of me banging my head into the wall because of how frustrating the puzzle was. There's one puzzle on Korriban, which is the birthplace of the Sith, and like in order to open the doors you need to go through, you have to solve this puzzle, and it's like have you ever seen like the ads online for like the games where it's like you have to fill up these like these beakers or these jars, but you could like with different colors, but you have to get like the top color can only touch the same color, so like, you have to get it out of one beaker that has red at the top to like the next beaker so you can get the color out from underneath it. I don't really know how to explain it very well, but like
So that sounds way too complicated. What?
it, the way I'm making it sound is a lot. I'm making it sound a lot worse than it actually is. Like it's not as complicated as I'm making it sound, but like
Anything similar to that though sounds not like something I would like.
it's very irritating. And now that I completed it, of course I completed it like 4 or 5 years ago, but like that it was great then, but like thinking about it now, like why or it was great now, but like thinking about it then, I was so irritated and I wanted nothing more than to quit the game. I didn't beat the game because I got to this one water planet very late in the game and I went underwater, like I had just gotten the suit to go underwater, and then my save file got corrupted and I'd put like over like 30 hours into that game. I'm like, I'm never opening this game again.
That's crazy.
Like I was so irritated. I don't think I've been as mad about a save file getting corrupted like than I was then. I was irritated, but I'm excited to see how this goes. The story of Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know. I feel like I'm one of the only people that feels like the story is very meh.
Yeah, I feel like most people
Like
really like it. I
I
personally,
know it's
yeah, I like that era of Star Wars so much because there was just as many Sith as there were Jedi, and I love that. And I feel like there's so many great stories to be told in that era.
it's definitely a fan favorite era. Most of the I like some of the stories there, but most of the stories there are very meh. Like And I feel like Revan's story, honestly, feels kind of meh to me. Like I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of backlash for saying that, but like I'm not a huge fan of Revan's story. Like it's all right. It's not terrible, but like there is definitely much better stories in the Star Wars universe, and that's not even a question.
Is meant to be like a play on revenge, isn't it? Like every Sith name is usually a play on something ridiculous, like Maul or Sidious, or like Sidious is short for Sidious, and like what else? What was Dooku's name? Darth. And of course, you got Darth Plagueis, obviously. Darth. What was Dooku's Darth name?
What was who?
What was Dooku's name? His Sith name.
Tyrannus.
Darth Tyrannus, Tyrant. So like, yeah, their names are always something ridiculous like that. So they're usually. um, what they showed after that was something you're interested in. I'm interested in too, actually. For Spoken, they said it was gonna come out around spring 2022. When you talked about how it look, the comment looks great, the setting looks interesting, but the map looks a little big and empty. Everything is it?
No, I just really hope the world's not. That's all. That's literally all I'm gonna say. Is I really hope the world isn't as empty as it looks because it looks like a very interesting game, but empty open worlds are never fun for me.
Never. Traversal looks like it'll be really fun. I hope it's as fun as it looks. The Traversal it looks super dope. Next they show Ghostwire Tokyo. I'm not going over everything they showed. Just the stuff that I wrote down, which was a few things. I don't even know why I wrote down Ghostwire Tokyo. Honestly, I don't care about it. Have you even seen anything about it?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, so we don't need to talk about it. I don't even know why it's there. Guardians, they showed a little bit more of the Guardians of the Galaxy game. I still stand by the fact that it's weird that we can only play Star Lord. They showed the Nova Corps. Did you see the trailer?
I didn't see the trailer. I didn't. I was in class. I only caught Spider-Man,
The Nova
Wolverine.
the Nova Corps look different. I don't know how to describe it. They kind of like they're wearing kind of Iron Man armor ish, not in like not exactly like Iron Man armor, but you know what I mean, like technology based armor. On their body. It's interesting. Interesting design. Also, a lot of spikes from what I remember seeing. I hope they are, like the Nova Corps in the comics. I feel like outside of the comics, they are so they've been. I feel like they've been avoiding actually having the Nova Corps be the people with superpowers from this power source, like the Green Lanterns. I don't know why. I hope eventually MCU they actually bring in like actual powers.
Nova was supposed to be in. I can't remember if it's Infinity War or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He was supposed to be in one of those two.
Yeah, there's been rumors of Nova being in Guardians of the Galaxy but 3D. Also, there's been rumors of Nova being in Captain Marvel too, actually, or the Marvels as it's being called. But I doubt that because that movie is already jam packed. Something that popped in my mind is what if Blue Marvel was in the Marvels and he was one of the Marvels.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I really want to see Blue Marvel in live action. Honestly, I feel like that would be a super dope story. Maybe I'm trying to think. When was he alive? If he was alive, well, he was been alive for a long time. But I mean, if he was active in the '70s, maybe he could interact with who was the old Captain America, the black guy? I always forget his name.
I know you're talking. I forget Vietnam one. I forget what his name
Yeah,
is too.
I can't believe I forgot his name. But it would be cool to see them interact because Adam Brashear's story takes place in like this is in like the '60s in the comics, and he was essentially what Superman would be like if he was black and the world was scared of this super powerful black man, and they essentially picked him to go on a mission that nearly killed him, and then he essentially laid low after that mission, hid away from the government for a very long time. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that story. They showed Deathloop again. Some people are upset. I feel like that Deathloop is being over advertised, and it's like, what do you want them to do? Not advertise it at all? Like I'm,
Yeah, no, I'm glad with all this advertisement because I won't be getting the game because it's PS5
yeah,
only.
which is trash. Like if when they first announced it was going to be on PS4, but eventually they decided to release it only on PS5, and I think they did that because of Cyberpunk, from what I've read. They saw what happened with Cyberpunk. I was like, maybe it's not ready for PS4, which makes me feel like that it literally was not ready for, like, it wasn't going to work on PS4. So they might as well have not did it at all in the first place. But yeah, unfortunately, until we get PS5s, we're not be able to play it. And that's super tough because it's like not only it's not F I can avoid spoilers, it's F I want to avoid spoilers because I low key want to watch gameplay.
Yeah, at this point, I kind of just want to go along and watch it because
It's
Bethesda games, especially. um,
No, I was just saying it comes out next Tuesday, and it's gonna be hard not to watch gameplay.
that's gonna be hard for me not to just watch the entire an entire walkthrough because Bethesda games, especially Bethesda games with this style of like storytelling and stuff, like Dishonored and stuff like that. Dishonored and Dishonored 2 are two of my favorite video games of all time, not just because of the gameplay, but because of the story too. Like I have the only novel, like the light novel for Dishonored, I have that, and I have the entire like two comic book series that came out around Dishonored. Like I really love that story and I really love that style of storytelling. And Deathloop, I can already tell is going to be like on that level of storytelling. And I'm not going to get to experience it unless I get a PS5, unless I want to spoil myself. And I kind of don't want to spoil it, but
I don't want to, but I probably will because I can't. I have no self control and I can't wait. I just want to see the story. I have self control. I just don't want to wait. Also, speaking of Dishonored stuff, I've been meaning to try and get a Dishonored 1 and 2 art books because I love the art style of Dishonored and I've seen concept art for it before and it's beautiful. Um, and you can just tell they have like what's his name? I forget the character's name, but that does the engineer that also does paintings, the inventor.
Anton Sokolow, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, Anton. his paintings, essentially the art, the what is it called? Yeah, the art book, the art within the art book kind of looks like that. So yeah, I really wanted some art books from those two. And I'm interested. I'm definitely gonna be interested in the art book for Deathloop. But yeah, me and you speculated that to actually kill other visionaries, you'll probably have to work together with alongside Juliana, which would make sense. Because one of the trailers, and I'm realizing that they do so much that when you go back and watch it, you can kind of figure some stuff out that Juliana hinted at, and this was I can't remember which it was. I think it might have been the most recent trailer, maybe or not. But actually, I think it was the second trailer where they actually showed gameplay. They essentially hinted at the fact that Juliana and Colt were probably together at one point. And the whole point of the story is that he lost his memory, so maybe he forgot, and she's just mad at him, and she knows that he won't die if she kills him because she won't either, and that whatever is keeping both of them returning back to life over and over again happened to them at the same time, but he lost his memory and she didn't. You know what I mean? So
I
yeah.
don't because I didn't catch that, but
Oh, that might have been a spoiler. Sorry, but
okay.
yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. But yeah, it was kind of hinted at. That might be wrong. She might be his sister or something. I don't know, but or they could just be really good friends, like Shang Chi and Katie. Uncharted is being remastered for PS5 and on PC. Now, more PlayStation games are going to PC, which is cool. Whenever you get a PC, I mean, you're going to get a PS5 anyway, but so it doesn't matter. But for anybody who don't really own either console and like to play games on PC, there you go. You play Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy. So now on to the big stuff. It was right after Uncharted that they got to the good stuff. First things first, Wolverine. That was a dope trailer. When I first saw the bar, like even though I saw Insomniac and thought, okay, this is Spider-Man. And then they showed the bar. And my mind immediately went, is Wolverine gonna be in Spider-Man? And then they showed his back. And the moment I saw the hat, I was like, that's Wolverine. Like all I saw was the hat. I was like, that's Wolverine. Wolverine wears cowboy hats. I was like, that's clearly Wolverine. Then they showed his arms, and it's like, that's Wolverine. And then I'm like, this is either a Wolverine game or Wolverine's gonna be in Spider-Man 2. I didn't know which one it was. And then he showed his claws and he said Wolverine. And I was like, what? Insomniac is just making a Wolverine game? Like, what was your reaction when you first saw it?
I didn't really care because
You don't like Wolverine. I forgot about that.
I don't like Wolverine. Actually, Tyler, you know Tyler. My friend Tyler, I'm in a group chat with some of my friends. And Tyler texted the group chat. He was like, "Insomniac's making a Wolverine game." My exact reaction was, "Oh, really? Cool." Like, I don't like Wolverine. I'm like, I'm gonna play it, but I don't like Wolverine. Like, I'm not a Wolverine fan. Never have been.
Did you like Logan?
Not really. No. Like, I'm not a Wolverine fan. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just never been interesting to me, and I never understood why people like him.
nothing wrong with him. There's just something wrong with you. But
I don't get why people like Wolverine. Like, I mean, like, okay, like he's immortal. He has metal claws.
all of my love for
He
Wolverine comes,
stinks. Like, I don't know what.
all my love for Wolverine comes from the movies. I didn't really read that many X-Men comics or watch
I
them old cartoon really. I just like them in the movies, but also like for people who like really really are into like X-Men comics, like a decent amount of them actually don't like Wolverine either. And he gets so many stories that they especially hate him. Because I felt this
yeah,
dude.
no, a lot of X-Men fans. Honestly, I wasn't a very big X-Men fan until the pandemic, and then I was like, I've been meaning to get into X-Men. I'm gonna start reading X-Men,
Yeah,
and that's when I really stopped liking Wolverine. And like, Cyclops is definitely the main character of the X-Men. Like, you can definitely see that, but there's no reason that Wolverine should be as prevalent in the X-Men as he is.
I think Wolverine is like he just he's there's too much of it. There's too much
There's
Wolverine.
way too much of him.
I don't think Wolverine's a bad character. I think they just do too much with him, and because of that, they stretch him thin, and kind of what's there was something I was thinking I can't remember, but they've done almost everything that they can. There's more they could do, but they're kind of stuck in this bag of doing the same thing with him over and over again, and it's like, dude, do something new or do less.
My
Like,
favorite Wolverine thing is either in what was it? Star Lord's solo series from like 2017 or something, where it was old man. It was old man Logan, and he was like trapped in the present, and he had and he was like friends with Kitty Pryde, of course, because he and Kitty are like really good friends. Like he's like a father figure to her, and of course, Star Lord and Kitty are like the main, like that's their main like relationship for each other in the comics. And so he was like arguing with Wolverine because he was trying to get back with Kitty Pryde, and Wolverine was being like the father figure type guy, and he's like, "Oh, you're not about to be around her, yada yada yada." And it was really funny. It was either that or in Kamala Khan's first solo series when she wound up accidentally teaming up with Wolverine, and she
Actually,
was like, "Wow, you really stink."
yeah,
And he was like, "I haven't showered in a week" or something like that. It was funny.
yeah, that was in the first volume of Miss Marvel because I remember that was the only Miss Marvel story I've ever read was the very first volume of her comic of her first solo series, and I remember that story specifically. Um, yeah, I think he works best, especially as a mentor. And
Yeah,
my favorite stories, and this isn't really him being a mentor. My favorite stories with Wolverine is whenever he's with Spider Man. It's always funny. I like stories with Wolverine and Spider Man working together. So that's also there's no way they're doing this and it's not connected to Spider-Man. There's a possibility, but I doubt it. And
yeah. I was gonna say I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but I've been seeing a lot of people saying that it's the same universe as
they
PS4, and
the
I
way they
fully believe it.
there was a blog post about both Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine game, and they said something that could either be said as it could be taken literally either way, that it's not connected or that it is connected. So there is no confirmation. But they said that essentially how this game came along was that Marvel didn't ask them to make this. They asked Marvel and Sony could they make it. Like they wanted to make a Wolverine game. So they went to Sony and Marvel and said, I pitched it. They pitched them the game and they said, yeah. And they're making a Wolverine game. Insomniac's been killing it. They made Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank at the same time, and now they're working on Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 at the same time. Their team is obviously big. They're two separate teams because the team that worked on Miles Morales and the director, they're the people working on Wolverine, while the other team that worked on Ratchet and Clank was working on Spider-Man 2. And they were the same team that worked on the first game, of course. Well, the people that worked on the first game was a combination of those teams. So yeah, that's I'm interested. I wonder if it's going to be open world or if it's going to be more like God of War, kind of open world, but not really. You know what I mean? Like how it's you can explore, kind of like the Dark Souls game. You can explore around a little bit, but it's somewhat linear. I wonder if it's going to be like that or if it's going to be straight up open world. Based
I
on
really hope it's open world, honestly.
honestly, I hope that it's a really small open because I don't think a huge open world really fits Wolverine. Naturally, it's there's got to be a big woods. I need me some woods, and I need to be able to like climb trees with the claws and like jump between trees and do stealth and like jump from the trees and murder people. Also, it needs to be
And murder people.
yeah, it needs to be rated M 100%. Like it needs to be blood and gore. I need to rip people apart. I want to. They've made M-rated games before, Insomniac, so hopefully this is also M-rated. Was it the Resistance games and Sunset Overdrive M-rated? So hopefully so is Wolverine. Because I want there to be blood. I don't need gore. I just need blood and lots of it. And I also want to be able to kill himself. So yeah. You're right. Yeah.
That's got to be the most like demented thing I think I've ever heard you say.
You've heard me say it before. When it comes to video games, I am a psychopath. I like to murder people brutally. It is my jam. It's weird, sure, but it's what I like. Um,
Hey man, whatever floats your boat, you know, like just don't kill people in real life, and it'll be fine.
what? I'm joking. Spider-Man 2.
I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that.
I'm a not cut it out. No, I was joking. Obviously, anybody who's watching this, that was a joke. Do not take that seriously. Spider-Man 2 is slated for 2023. Um, and we hear, which is a voice that is obviously Craven the Hunter, just based on what he's saying and his accent. Um, and then we see Peter, and then we see Miles, and then at the very end, we hear Tony Todd, aka Candyman, aka the voice of Zoom from The Flash, voicing Venom, and we see Venom, and we all knew Venom was going to be in the game. Anybody who's played the entirety of the first game and Miles Morales, at the very end of both of those games, they show um, the Venom symbiote on Harry Osborn. You can go ahead.
Uh, I really like Peter's like the changes to Peter's suit.
Oh,
Not a fan of the changes to Miles' suit, but I mean we can change suits. I'm pretty sure they'll have the suit from Miles Morales in it, so I'll just switch to that immediately.
so
Um,
yeah, I forgot to actually mention that before. Yeah, their suits. Yeah, like you said, I don't like Miles. I don't like the stripes on his arm. I think that's
I
weird.
don't either. I thought I was the only one. Everyone else is like freaking out about it. I hate it.
Yeah, no, I fucking hated it, dude. I'm gonna cut out that curse word, but like, I did not like it. I saw it. I was like, why are there stripes on his arm?
I'm
Like,
glad we actually agree about something
like
like this for
I
once,
feel
because
like
typically we don't. But like,
I feel like
I thought it was so ridiculous and so unneeded. Like, why? Like,
this.
his suit was literally perfect.
I feel like yeah, I feel like they didn't need to change his suit at all. And if they were gonna change his suit, still keep the basic design elements not there like there not being a stripe on his arm. Like
Right.
if you're gonna change it, do like they did with Peter's and make slight changes. With Peter's suit, they made the red an actual vibrant like candy red, like cherry red. I meant like a cherry red rather than the kind of oranges red that was in the last game that didn't look as red as people liked it, wanted it to be. So they made it more red.
Personally, the red didn't bother me, but yeah.
The red didn't personally bother me either, but I understand why people wanted it to be more red because it did come off as a bit orange. Um, and they like on his hips there was like a slit of like kind of like red with like the spider pattern on it, and they got rid of that and they made it just a little bit more sleek. And they even changed the logo a bit to where it doesn't it like the side where like the spider leg kind of goes off the red part and onto the blue part. It's more in line with the red part so that it doesn't look like they're two separate pieces. Like they just did little subtle changes to Peter's suit to make it better. With Miles, they did a really big and obvious change that was unnecessary. But
Yeah.
like you said, we'll be able to wear his original suit, and I'm 100% changes his suit to the original suit. I hope they add his new suit though, that is recently in the comics, into the game. I'm sure they will,
They
because
probably will.
because he doesn't have that many suits to begin with because he hasn't been around that long. So that'll probably be added in the next game, and it'll be interesting to see what that suit looks like. And I wonder if they'll give you the option to take off the kind of sweater thing that he has over top of it whenever they add that suit. And yeah, they showed Venom. We knew Venom was gonna be in it. Tony Todd is voicing him, the Candyman himself. I'm interested. I wonder if, and I feel like they can't have and not have either Miles or Peter end up with the symbiote on them at some point. Either one of them or
There's
both.
been a big theory since the first game, which I'm pretty quickly subscribing to. Like, I'm pretty, like, since I first heard it, I was like, yeah, that probably sounds about right. Is that they'll probably give Peter the symbiote suit, and then as Miles, you have to fight him to, like, try to save him.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of
Like,
sense.
immediately, as soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, that's probably what's about to happen.
It'll be
That sounds about right.
it'll be cool if that happens, and then you actually have to team up with Craven to take him down.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Harry's probably gonna be Venom for a little bit at the very least. Because of course, eventually the symbiote's gonna have to get on Peter. I feel like initially I still think this is the case. I think they're gonna use the Venom symbiote to essentially give Peter extra abilities since Miles has the gadgets, all of Peter's powers, and then he has the Venom abilities. So they have to give Peter something that would make you more interested in playing him after having played as Miles, who has these really dope abilities. And then you're like, well, why would I want to go back to play this dude who can't electrocute people naturally?
Right.
So they have to give you incentive to want to play as Peter again. Otherwise, you're going to be playing as Peter like, he's kind of just not as cool as Miles when you play as him as a character. But yeah, they're probably going to have to make him more interesting, and they're because naturally he's not going to have the Venom symbiote for the entirety of the game. So of course they're going to do it for technology, and they showed those arms in the trailer, and I wonder if that was just for the trailer's sake, or if he's taking inspiration from Doctor Octopus and he's going to incorporate that more into his fighting.
I definitely think that I definitely think he took inspiration from Doc Ock, which actually really makes me think.
Superior.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They've been hinting at Superior since the first game, like with the whole degenerative disease and he's not able to feel his body. That's the whole reason that he became Superior in the first place.
What I would really like to see them take a stab at the clones saga, but good.
But good. I mean, there's been like four Clone Sagas
Yeah, there's
in
been
the
six.
comics, and only the first one was bad. Like
There's
the
been six.
other three have all been actually really good, but
I would love to see them um do that. I would love to see them bring in the clones.
that'd be pretty cool. I wonder if they'll do Miles as clones.
Um, is that good? I haven't checked it.
Actually, yeah, it's really good. That's why I said there were four Clone Sagas. Only the first one was bad.
I've been
The
hearing,
first one was bad, and they learned from their mistakes immediately.
yeah, I've been hearing mixed reviews on the Miles clone saga. But
I haven't heard any bad reviews on the Miles Clone Saga, honestly.
what if actually they took both Miles and Peter's DNA and made a like a clone that's a combination of both of them?
Like a super clone, super spider.
He has like, because Peter, well, because they never, because I think they never confirm it, or if like Peter is actually stronger than Miles, or if he's only stronger than Miles because he's older and been doing it longer. Um, or you know what I mean? So like, I don't know if that's the case, but either way, I feel like they could make a version, they could combine them and have a version that's stronger than both of them physically and faster, and he has Miles powers. And what they do say in the comics is that Peter's spider sense is better than Miles, and he also has a spider sense that's better than both of theirs. And I feel like that would be cool, just a stronger version of both of them. That's a combination of both of their DNA. I think that could be interesting. But yeah, I would love to see clones in one of the games at some point. And naturally, they could keep like they did in the comics, have Superior Octopus and have him be in a clone body of Peter's.
That's actually well. I mean, the original story, I think they should keep it the same, where he literally like is in Peter's body. But in the second Superior Spider-Man story, which ended terribly, and I don't understand why they would. I have a lot of complaints about the second one. In the second story, his body was a perfect combination of Otto and or of his original body and Peter's body. Like he got like the spider powers from Peter. But
That would be cool. I would be cool if like in a third game, maybe they do Superior Spider-Man, and then they do like a Miles Morales type spin-off game where you play as the clone version of, or like the the combination clone version of Superior Octopus in like San Francisco. I think that could be cool.
if they're doing what I think they're doing and making a whole universe, I could really see a lot of
Here's
like potential for Doc Ock.
I feel like the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that they were making a Wolverine game, I was like, they should make a Fantastic Four game. I feel like that could be cool. And it could be maybe if they would like to, they could try and make it co-op. I feel like they could probably succeed at that. I feel like that could be like most people want to play as the Human Torch. God of War, last but not least. I love God of War, first one. Um, they showed gameplay and more story stuff with Ragnarok. They had a full trailer. It has a new director, Eric Williams, who's worked on every single God of War game, including the PSP games that already had done made. Um, Ryan Hurst is playing Thor. Richard Schiff is playing Odin. They revealed Tyr, the Norse God of War, and they revealed Angrboda, who is Loki's wife and the mother of Fenris the Wolf, um, Jormungandr, this world serpent, and Hel, or Hela, as she's called in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah. They showed a lot of gameplay and it looked good. It doesn't look too different from the first one, which I'm not mad at because the first one was already good. Just any slight upgrade they can make would be great. And also naturally the boy, Atreyu, older, taller. The actor obviously got older and taller as well, so his voice is deeper, which is interesting to see. And I really love the shift that they did with this series. People like to call it a soft reboot, not a full reboot. They just took it to literally a different country within the world, because within this world, the different mythologies essentially dwell within the countries of their origin. Like this takes place in like Scandinavia, Greece stuff was in Greece. And the Egyptian gods exist. Tyr actually on his arm, there are Greek hieroglyphs on his arm, both in the trailer and in they actually posted posters of each character, including Thor, which is kind of I didn't expect. They straight up revealed Thor. Have you seen it?
I have not.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna get your live reaction right now. I'm gonna send to you on Instagram. Just hold up. I gotta find it real quick.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah. He's naturally, as you can assume, being the comic book fan that you are, but also knowing about mythology, people were confused and they were upset because they were like, "Why is he fat?" And that's just what Thor looks like in mythology. He's
Yeah, pretty much.
They describe him as eating and drinking a lot, and within the game, Mimir constantly calls him a bunch of derogatory names for fat people, like the entirety of the game whenever he talks about him. Because this version of Thor is very similar to the Norse mythology version in the sense that he's a and Mimir said something along these lines. He's a murdering asshole. He's a big fat murdering asshole. Mimir said something very similar to that, and that's literally what he does in this. He's a murderer, and you know, kind of 100% spoiler for people who haven't finished the game. You've seen gameplay and you know the entirety of the story, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I know the majority of the story. I've also owned the game. I just didn't get very far in it because I got bored.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, so you don't mind if I talk a little bit about the stuff that they showed in the trailer that relates to where the game left off. Is that a yes or a no?
I know exactly where the game left off. Like, spoiler alert: Thor is at Kratos' door. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is that Atreus is Loki.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Engelbota is for people who don't know. I just already said it, but she in the mythology is his wife, and I'm actually gonna put a spoiler alert at the very beginning of this so that you know because I said that earlier, and that's obviously a spoiler. But for people who don't want to know about the actual mythology, stop watching here. This is the end of the podcast. Anyway, but yes, she's definitely gonna be his love interest. I also like her name. I just like saying it. It's naturally spelled weird,
Spell build.
like most Norse words are, because they're a different language. But she's one of the last remaining giants, which confirms that a lot of people were speculating that maybe because the giants cast illusions a lot within the game, that maybe all the dead giants at the end of the first game were actually an illusion and that they were actually alive. Nope, Thor actually found the way into Jotunheim and he killed them all. The director confirms, he doesn't say this verbatim, but he essentially alludes at the fact that Thor actually was the one to, under Odin's order, go and murder all of the giants. And she's one of the last remaining giants. Uh, that was, I think, confirmed in kind of confirmed, not straight up, but in a PlayStation blog. Um, what else was I gonna say? I can't remember. Damn it, we gotta wrap this up. What was I about to say? I can't remember. All right, forget it. Doesn't matter. Last but not least, George Mall, a former gameplay engineer at Sony Santa Monica, described as one of the fathers of God of War's much loved Leviathan X. The fact that you can throw it and return it. Um, he actually died on September 2nd, which is kind of sad.
Oh my god.
Yeah, one of the people who was essentially responsible for that X being so fun to use and making everybody and their mother want a Thor game. Because that axe is dope. As the little bit that you played in the game, you probably enjoyed using that axe.
It was alright. It kind of felt like it was getting in my way. I'm not gonna lie, because like it already wasn't doing a lot of like damage, but I also didn't get very far in the game, so I can't really complain about that.
How's the axe getting in your way? The whole point of the axe is to remove the people that are in your way.
It felt like it was getting. It just felt like it was doing not a lot of damage. I felt like I was doing more damage with my hands, and
Eventually,
I still wasn't doing a lot of damage regardless.
You should finish it. Eventually, you get the Blades of Chaos, and they're dope as usual.
I know. I did see that scene.
The scene when you get it is amazing, by the way.
I saw. No, I was gonna say that's the scene I saw. I didn't really watch much about the game though.
Yeah, once I got the Blades of Chaos, I only used them for the most part. I used axe because there were some cases where you have to use axe, but I really like the Blades of Chaos. They're just so fun to use. I feel like there's not a lot of dual wielding chain weapons in hack and slashes, and there needs to be more of them. But yeah, I kind of forgot. There was definitely something else I wanted to say, but I cannot remember. Oh, what is her name? The mother of Boulder. Uh, why am I forgetting things? I hate when I forget names. I haven't done it in a while. I haven't straight up forgot a name in a minute. Freya. Freya. There you go. If I just said Thor's mother, you probably could have answered it because she's also his mother in the comics. But Freya um is after Thor because he murdered her son at the end of the first game. And a lot of people are speculating that she could potentially be like Nemesis in or more like Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 and
That'd be cool.
chase you around in certain portions of the game. I feel like that could be really dope.
I
Um
might actually play it just for that because I love that. I love that type of feature in games.
you felt like if you didn't like the X, but you would prefer I would advise trying to finish the game. But at the very least, maybe play the second one because you'll have the Blazer Chaos from the get go, so you might enjoy it more because of that.
I'm definitely going to come back to God of War
I'm,
4, but I just haven't.
I started the new game plus, but I never finished it. And it's like I just really want to play it again because I'm seeing so much about it, and I haven't played it a second time because there's a lot to do because it's kind of open world. So I was on the Valkyrie Queen, but she beat the dog shit out of me so many times that I quit. So I might go back and try to beat her. But yeah, we'll wrap the podcast up there with me just being confused for like 5 minutes because I couldn't remember anything. Um, I'm Jay Sean. You can find my ads below me on Instagram and Twitter. You can find Amir's Instagram right below him, and the Mustard Cat's at on both Twitter and Instagram right below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and then click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.
Bye.